One thing that I wasn't even able to do is do a demographic update for you because our 2018 ACS data isn't out yet, or haven't seen it yet. So I assume that these folks are actually busy preparing for the 2020 census. The 2020 census is going to be a really critical time for us. So I don't know how familiar you are with the census and what it's used for, but this count is going to be dictating our congressional representation. So it will be dictating how powerful our region is in the grand scheme of Congress and how many people are represented in our region. It's used for federal funding and programming decisions, so community development block grant funding. In order to get the most money possible out of that funding, we need to make sure we have an accurate count of people and an accurate count of where people are from an income and an employment perspective. This is really important for our community because the city of Auburn and the county do a great job managing a number of CDBG funds and programs. So we really want to make sure that that can continue and that it's an accurate representation of our community. There's also billions upon billions of other types of funding that consider census data in those decisions. So we don't want to lose out on any of that. And plus, we all use it. Businesses use it to make market decisions. I use it to do presentations like this. I'm sure all of you use it for one reason or another. Who uses census data? Yeah, so banks, I'm sure, use it for different reasons. It really helps us understand our community, the trends in our community, how income and poverty and employment are progressing, how median age is changing. So it's really important to make sure that everyone fills out the census. In 2010, they estimate that Cayuga County had a 25% non-response rate. So that's not a good showing. It's not bad, but it's not good. So we really want to make sure that in 2020 we're getting the word out and that everyone is filling out the census. You can mail it in. This year there's an online option. I think you can do it over the phone this year too. So please do pay attention to this when it comes through. And the folks in your office, your employees, make sure everyone is paying attention to this and getting it done because it's going to be important for the next decade of our day-to-day lives. Our local partnership specialist, Tina Hanford, is happy to talk to anyone who's interested in helping to spread the word. If your organization is interested in helping to get the word out, you can reach out to her directly. And one thing that the census can tell us is what our workforce looks like. And right now, there's a very special opportunity for workforce development. There is a fund through New York State called the Workforce Development Initiative. To get the full details on this, you can go to ny.gov/workforce development, not that hard to remember. And this funding is very flexible. It can be used for training for entry-level or incumbent workers. It can be used for community collaborations to reduce the barriers to employment, like childcare, transportation, or simply wraparound services to help folks that just need some additional assistance to get work ready. And to increase the workforce pipeline, finding different populations that are perhaps underemployed or are not as active in the workforce as they could be. And then there's a special pot within this for SUNY and CUNY, including Cayuga Community College, to create new training programs and expand programs for workforce training. This is a non-competitive, so you know how the state likes these competitive grant programs and you put in an application and then you wait to hear and you're competing against your friends. This is not the case. This funding source is a first come, first serve. If you're eligible, you can access it. You don't have to wait for a competition to close. It's on a rolling basis. So it's very flexible, it's non-competitive. We want to make sure this money is coming upstate and coming to Cayuga County. So if you're an employer or community partner that might be interested in doing some workforce development programming, please do call our office, call Maureen's office over at Cayuga Works, and we'll make sure to get you in the loop on this funding opportunity. So 2019 was a good year for state funding opportunities. We did have over $12 million of incentives and grants awarded to economic development business projects and or community development projects. And that actually is leveraging almost $160 million in local investment. So this is a lot of investment happening in the community over the next couple of years as these projects get underway and are completed. And you can see that that's a pretty good leverage rate. Our community is really investing here, and people, businesses, community organizations, government is really stepping up and making sure that we're responding to community needs, and businesses are growing here and adding jobs, adding capacity, adding production. So you can see that there's really a lot of activity happening. And then over the course of the entire consolidated funding application period, so of this $12.37 million of incentives and grants, $9 million of that was state funding for different programming. Over the course of the 9 rounds of that state funding, Cayuga County has been awarded almost $60 million. So it's $60 million that has come to the community, has leveraged local investment, and created additional opportunities in Cayuga County. In addition to, so this year we did have Courier Plastics receive some funding through the New York State grant funds, Cayuga Milk Ingredients. In the past, we've had a number of businesses expand using this funding source. So it is a helpful funding source. We will likely have another round coming out this year. Generally, the timeline is applications are due in July, and you get an award announcement in December. So you really have to be planning for 2021 at this point. So unless they make any changes in the program this year. However, so really, if you have a project coming up in 2021 and you're interested in applying for some tax credits or some grants through the state, make sure to call our office. We'll keep you in the loop on those programs as they get announced. The industrial development agencies are also pretty active. This year we did close on a few projects. Prison City Brewing, their expansion that you can see happening right now. Page Trucking up in Brutus is building a new facility, and Volpe is finishing up their rejigging of their facility to increase their efficiency. So there's some good projects going on in the community. Some of them you're seeing actively, some of them are internal, and some of them are still going to be starting soon. Speaking of which, the Auburn Downtown Revitalization Initiative is starting to get into full swing. You can see a couple of projects already starting out. We have the CCC Culinary Center. Thank you for moving that forward. And the Auburn Public Theater, if you've been down Genesee Street lately, you can see that the work is happening there actively. But there's a number of other projects that are still getting started and that we can expect to see moving this year. The city is working diligently to have the public safety building started. Nick's Ride is ready to go. They're ready to get started and get their facility up and running. We're excited to see the West End Arts Campus. This was a very popular project and the public feedback. And then there's public art, there's a new park on State Street. So some of these projects should be getting moving this year, and you should start to be able to see these investments and the leverage of these investments. Coming up towards the end of February, I'm working with Christina Selvik in the city to organize a training and networking event for the project sponsors of the DRI projects. We'll cover a number of specific topics to those project applicants, like the requirements of state contracting and how to comply with what the state needs, but also open it up to networking for our community's contractors, service providers, banks to meet with these project sponsors and get connected because they still have needs that they need to fill in their projects. So keep an eye out for that. We're looking at late February, and we'll put that out as soon as we can confirm the date. But this is a really exciting initiative, and we're excited to see all of these projects come to fruition. It is going to be a nice cap on all of the momentum we've been seeing in downtown Auburn. There will always be room for more. There's always room to do more, but this is really putting a nice bow on that momentum and will help to bring a lot of that momentum together. Another big topic that we've been hearing about, we always hear workforce, we can't find workers, but we're also hearing a lot more about foreign trade and the struggles of importing and exporting. So we do have, I just wanted to call attention to a couple of regional partners that can help businesses that are struggling with their imports and exports. First of all, we have the Central New York International Business Alliance. Some of you might remember Stephen King from our Economic Forecast Luncheon 5 years ago, was it? 5-6 years ago? And he basically goes around, he provides technical assistance and mentoring for businesses that are exporters, and now they're getting more into importers. He's also helped assisting with the foreign trade zone technical assistance for the region as well. If you are doing international trade, please do let us know. We'll hook you up with Stephen King, even if it's just to bounce some ideas off him or to say, I got this request and it seems a little fishy, can you look at it? You know, he's there to really help the businesses in our region do trade and do it well. So we want to make sure that everyone is taking advantage of that resource. We also have the Trade Adjustment Assistance Center. And this group, it's a nonprofit regional center that provides federal funding assistance exclusively to New York, New Jersey, and Puerto Rico. And they are assisting businesses or companies that are impacted by foreign competition. So if your product is being undercut by a foreign product and you're losing revenue, they can help fund some programming to improve your competitiveness in the market. And one of the key points of this is the regional staff will more or less do this application for you if you give them the information, and it's not a reimbursement grant. So what they'll do is they'll pay your vendor directly, your consultant or whoever directly, and that way you don't have to front the bill and wait for a check. So it's a really flexible program. They do the best they can to qualify anybody. They really dig in and try to get you qualified. Some businesses will not qualify, but they do the best they can and they will walk through that process with you. So they're a really great partner as well. So if you're having any of those issues, please do make sure to reach out to us and we can connect, or you can reach out to them directly. But looking at around the room, a lot of you might have clients that this issue is affecting, so keep that in mind as well as you're talking to your client base as to whether or not they're an importer or an exporter and what challenges they might be having, because we don't want them going at it alone. They don't have to. We have these partners in the region to help with this.